Hello everyone. Lunar eclipse the 19th of November is followed by a solar eclipse on the 4th of December 2021. This total solar eclipse is extremely important. It's the end of a whole cycle of eclipses. So, how will it be for you? I have all the information on the video. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. And if the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. The lunar eclipse, November the 18th, 19th, is visible in most of the world. It's visible in northeastern India, most of Asia, Australia, North America, South America, most of Europe, and northwestern Africa. The total solar eclipse, 4th of December, is available to be viewed only mainly in the Antarctica Circle and the very slight view visible at the very tip of Africa. But that's a good thing because actually we don't want to be viewing eclipses. It's never auspicious. So let's look at the astrology, everybody. On the 19th of November, the lunar eclipse is lightening up everybody's life with information you've needed for a long time. Why is this? Because a lunar eclipse enlightened what the solar eclipse darkened. And the last solar eclipse was actually in June 2021. So in a certain area of your life, according to your sign, where the information has not been available, causing you some distress, but in a way putting it to the back of your mind, all of a sudden it's going to come up again and the truth of the situation is going to come out. It can be startling. Don't forget, a lunar eclipse is always cathartic because emotions are involved. And this time, the moon is in Taurus with Rahu. The moon is extremely strong in Taurus, but this doesn't make it any less emotional. Expect to be a little bit startled, but at the same time reassured because Moon is steady in this exalted state that at least you have this information. You know what to do now. You know what's happening. Most important, you know what other people are going to do. Things that have not been spoken about will finally come out into the open. The two important reasons, everybody, why it's quite a churning lunar eclipse. First of all, the lord or dispositor of this moon Rahu eclipse is actually Venus, ruler of Taurus, which is 8 houses away. Can you see? In Sagittarius, 8 houses means that this is going to be difficult to face. You need the information, you want the information, but it doesn't make it any easier to face. And the other important factor is the nakshatra. The eclipse takes place in Kritika. Kritika is about war. It's about cutting. It's actually represented by a knife. It's a sharp cutting necessary to cut through difficulty, dealing with enemy situations in a sharp and swift way. This sounds scary, but don't be afraid of this because the moon is happy to be in this area of the sky. What it means is that things are going to be said which will be cutting around this time. So as we get closer to this lunar eclipse, 18th, 19th of November, depends where you actually live in the world, but they're the main date, 18th, 19th, you can expect that people are going to become emotional and the words are going to be sharp, but you will cut through false information that has been with you for some time. False hopes maybe also will be taken away. But the main thing is you will definitely know where you stand on an important area of your life after this lunar eclipse. 2 weeks later, on the 4th of December, following all the emotion of the lunar eclipse, comes a total solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse is a darkening of emotion. It can be a fearful moment, so hold on tight for events around this time. What you should know is that this is the last eclipse happening in the Taurus-Scorpio axis of Rahu and KETU. This is very important, everybody, also because the next eclipse will not be a lunar eclipse. It will not give you the information that you need to make a change. Rather, this is the change. This is the full stop. This is the underlining of the transit of Rahu in Taurus and KETU in Scorpio. However, because this eclipse takes place in Scorpio, there'll be a clinginess, a secretiveness, and a real fearful factor added to the solar eclipse itself. Why? Because the moon is debilitated in Scorpio. It's not an easy situation to emotionally digest. It brings up a lot of fear and paranoia, so be prepared for that. This is all compounded, everybody, by the fact that in Scorpio, everything becomes very solid. You see, Scorpio is fixed water. What is fixed water? It is ice. This solar eclipse is like an ice block has come into your path in life for everybody. Things you've wanted to do, you have to stop. Your plans have to change. Things you've expected to happen, all of a sudden, you can't do them. Expect this energy to manifest, particularly because it takes place in Jyeshta Nakshatra, ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is involved in this eclipse and indeed is the ruler of the 8th house from the eclipse, Gemini, and the 11th house, Virgo. This means that financial affairs become all of a sudden fearful and sudden unexpected factors occur, and also things that you plan to do have to be literally put on ice. In addition, all communication becomes difficult because Mercury is involved in this eclipse. It's difficult to get the answers you want from people. All of a sudden, they're withholding information again, and you are becoming fearful. Don't push people into a corner. It's going to have a really difficult effect. Keep your thoughts to yourself around this time. The solution, as I'm going to show you, is going to come very soon. Do not fear, not long after the eclipse the ice will melt. And why? Because Mars is a dispositor of this eclipse and he is not yet with the eclipse sign. Now this is very important indeed. The two dispositors of this Scorpio total solar eclipse are KETU and Mars. KETU is in the eclipse, so he demands a change. As I say, he demands that you let things go. You've got to accept that this is an ending of some sorts. KETU will not accept anything but that in his own sign. But Mars, the other lord, is still in Libra, and he's weakened. He's very weak at the moment of this eclipse. He's at the very last degree of Libra, in a completely incapacitated state. In this way, because Mars is so weak, a lot of people will feel at this eclipse as though they don't know what to do next, as though there is no way out of a tricky and difficult situation. That is why it's important not to take any precipitous moves or actions, because there is a way out, everybody, and this is the great secret to it. Mars will very soon transit ahead into Scorpio, where he will, of course, conjunct KETU. That's a different factor, bringing an element of sudden accidents and violence and difficulties. I will address those in the Mars Scorpio video. I will link below when that's available. But as far as the eclipse is concerned, that is not the most important time. The important time, everybody, is when Mars will conjunct the degree of the eclipse, 18 degrees Scorpio. So mark the dates carefully in your diary, everybody. That will be the 30th and 31st of December, the 1st of January 2022. So when Mars at the end of the year, New Year period actually, is conjunct at 18 degrees Scorpio to the actual degree of the eclipse, he will melt the iceberg. He will show you with his fire energy the way forward. Strong in his own sign, he will show you the way to deal with this ending, the way to start afresh. He will give you strength, renewal, and a purpose in your life. So do not despair at the roadblocks, at the difficulties of this eclipse. There is a way out, and those are the dates you should wait for. How to use the eclipse transit readings, everybody. Read from your Ascendant or Lagna sign, most definitely, because eclipses are showing the path ahead in your life on the road of your destiny. Also read from your Moon sign. They are equally important. If you have your D9, actually eclipse transit is very good to read from the D9 Lagna also. And if you have a Western chart, please take away 23 degrees from the position of your Ascendant and your Moon in order to get the correct sign to read. Let's begin. For Aries, Moon, Aries, Lagna, the lunar and solar eclipse bring the great clean out of your life, the great declutter to a crescendo. Rahu in your second house has been putting relationships behind you, old friendship networks, and even everything to do with family life is transforming as you get rid of the past. So this lunar eclipse lightens up that whole process. Around the lunar eclipse, 19th of November, expect that family affairs become fractures for you. There's a lot of difficult conversations with family members, maybe mother as well, because the moon is your fourth house lord of mother. There may be difficulties in the domestic sphere. There may be breakages, changes, things that need immediate attention. That's on the small scale. But on the big scale, you're going to have to pay attention to your finances as they revolve around your domestic situation. On a different note, the second house represents your diet and what you take into your body. This lunar eclipse lights that up and shows you where you're going wrong with this. You will all of a sudden get amazing information about how you should be feeding yourself, what is good for you, and you will make changes. Also, medications may be completely revised and changed because of this eclipse. Whatever you do, though, watch your speech. The eclipse, lunar eclipse in the second house, makes you really contentious in your speech, and in Kritika, extremely sharp, because Mars is still opposing your own moon or ascendant sign. Quarrels with your near and dearest, quarrels about money, quarrels with the family. It's just no end to the contention around you. If you can avoid sharp words at this time, I promise you, you will be more than glad that you did. The total solar eclipse on the 4th of December is very important. With so many planets, Sun, Moon, KETU, Mercury in the 8th house of your chart and Mars continuing just behind here in the 7th house, it's joint finances, make or break time with your spouse. It's about wills, legacies, inheritances, hopes for the future can become a little bit dashed here. You have to sign the dotted line. Some of you have to sign a document you've been putting off signing for some time, but there is no choice at this moment. It's a letting go of the past, a complete revision of a business situation, of a financial venture in your life where you have to simply let go because there is no future for it as it is now. So it's a difficult time for you. You feel out of control. You actually feel that other people are taking control of your whole financial situation. But here's the good news. Whatever is leaving your life financially and maybe even relationship-wise at this time, it's important to know it's setting the ground for a whole new life. As Rahu comes into your own sign in April next year, a whole new world is going to be built, one in which you will feel much more in control of things and actually much happier with. For Taurus Moon Lagna, since Rahu has been in the first house of your chart from your ascendant or moon, you've made dramatic changes in your life. Your whole relationship situation has changed. Your whole domestic situation, career as well, has completely revolutionized. This is the final point in that whole process. There have been many difficulties, though, misunderstandings and challenges in intimate relationships because of KETU's present, and indeed in any business situation. This lunar eclipse shows you what you can keep and what you can't keep, what is going to work long term and which is not. The information is completely valuable to you. But because Venus, dispositor of the eclipse, is 8 houses away, you may find that you have to make a dramatic change in your hopes for wills, legacies, inheritance, all of these things which you may have been hoping for family-wise. But once again, this information is useful to you so you can plan for your future. Be very careful, though, Taurus, around the total solar eclipse, 4th of December. With the Sun, Moon, Mercury, KETU all in the 7th house, aspecting your own house, you may feel ill at ease. You may feel not well physically and mentally. It's a very draining eclipse for you indeed. There may be difficult circumstances with your spouse, maybe health issues, difficult marketplace, unexpected factors come into any business situation, and a business partner may be also having troubles. In any relationship, it's a very much do or die situation now. This is the moment you make a decision about your future because it becomes impossible not to do so. At the same time, it's difficult because it's a total solar eclipse and it's the end of a whole Rahu-Ketu cycle. So you're feeling fearful because you don't like change. But Rahu stays strong in your first house, so you will be really courageous during this difficult solar eclipse, and you will face up to difficult situations. If a business has to go, you will let it go. If a relationship has to go, you will also let it go. But many times you will see that it doesn't have to end completely. It just has to be revised. For Gemini Moon, Gemini Lagna, the lunar eclipse lighting up your 12th and your 6th house. It's another contentious moment for you. Can I give you a light at the end of the tunnel straight away? Rahu is in the last phase of his 12th house transit. From April next year, he's moving into your 11th house, where all of your wishes will be fulfilled and things will move on so swiftly in your life. Right now, he's still cutting the losses for you. Watch your expenses at this lunar eclipse. You're going to have to pay out far more than you ever dreamt in so many difficult situations. There may be health issues, accidents, difficulties with your work colleagues, difficult if you have pets, animals, and difficulties with your own health. It's a bit of a crisis moment, this lunar eclipse. But the 4th of December solar eclipse draws a line under these problems by showing you where you have to cut your losses. So there are many scenarios. If you have pets, they may be having difficult health situation and you need to maybe get them hospitalization or some special treatment, but this will be good. Particularly at the end of the year, you will see the way out of any health problem with your domestic animals. Now, your own health problems also exactly the same thing. They seem to be insurmountable now, but at the end of the year, when Mars hits this eclipse point, as I've talked about on the video, you will get the right medication, you will get the right solution to long-standing health problems. But around the time of the eclipse, it's very touch and go because your stress level is going to go through the roof, I promise you. All of a sudden, there are obstacles in your workplace, particularly in regard to work colleagues. They may be absent and all of the work comes to you. There may be difficulty finding people to work for you if you are employer. Whatever it is, all the work, 6th house is about hard work, is falling on your shoulders at this time. Finally, if you should be involved in any legal case at this time, it may not go your way. You will have to accept that you can't make this work for you and cut your losses while you can. It will definitely be best in the long run. Although there is a chance that at the new year, when Mars comes to conjunct this Sun-Moon point, as I've talked about on the video, you may get a far better result. So you may want to delay any legal factors until the end of the year. For Cancer, Moon and Lagna, watch out for the emotions and the rising tide of your fears whenever Rahu eclipses the Moon, your Lord. But this time it's in the 11th house. It's going to work out so many difficult situations in your friendship networks. So much has changed since 2020 in your whole friendship network circles. New people are there. There's been a complete reshuffle. And this is the final turning point in that whole process. Revelations at this time are going to be very important. You're going to hear probably from your friendship networks new information which will help you make a decision of who is supporting you and who isn't. That is what is important to you at this time. Are you supported or not? And 11th house is your income. Are you getting sufficient income? Is your income supporting your needs in life? It doesn't seem to be doing so. This Rahu moon shows you what changes have to be made into this regard. But please be very careful because 11th house takes you into a fantasy land of the future. Don't make any plans on information which you get at this time. Wait until the solar eclipse has finally sorted things for you. It's coming up soon. The solar eclipse on the 4th of December involves so many important areas of your life. Yes, it's your friendship networks and your hopes, but it's also this time your children, your domestic situation, and indeed, very importantly, your education. Why is this? Because the moon is your whole purpose in life. It's who you are, and the sun represents what you hold, what you own, your financial situation, what keeps you feeling secure. So, first of all, there's an impasse in regard to children if you have them. They are having difficulties and there seems no way out. Hold on. When Mars comes into this sign at the end of the year, this will sort out these situations. So don't make any dramatic moves in your children area of your life. If you are trying to start a family once again, there may seem to be insurmountable obstacles, but they will be overcome. If you're on education yourself, it's not working. You can't learn. You just can't focus. You can't get to grips with the whole education process. Again, it's temporary. Once Mars comes into this sign at the end of the year, you will sort this out. You will be able to continue. Do not fear. The fifth house rules romance as well, so any new relationship just starting off at this time may have insurmountable obstacles that really make it difficult to continue. But give it until the end of the year, because when Mars comes into this eclipse point, he will finally make it clear to you whether you actually have a future together or not. Finally, be really cautious about financial affairs. The Sun is your second house lord, and when he is eclipsed in the fifth house, don't take any speculative gain at this time. Some of you may have actual loss at this time from some speculation or some sort of stock market investment, etc., which you have been involved in. You're going to have to completely let it go. It cannot be recouped. But at least avoid speculative ventures at this time. That is definitely the best thing. Leo Moon, Leo Lagna, the revelations coming in your workplace are really startling for you around the 19th of November. A new job you'd been hoping for may be actually not available to you, or you may decide that you don't want to continue in your present position. You've had a powerful 1.5 years with this Rahu 10th house, but now is your full potential really being used? You are thinking it's not, and this lunar eclipse, 19th of November, reveals the information you need to know that perhaps you need to move on. The lunar eclipse then is a real eye-opener to every Leo Lagna and Leo Moon, because Rahu with the moon in this 10th house will open your eyes to secret information that has been there and you've even been aware of, but now you know exactly where you stand. Some of you, this will impact relationships because Rahu is your 7th house lord, and business situations also. The solar eclipse, though, is very important because Sun, of course, is your lord, and when he is eclipsed here with the moon, Mercury and KETU in this solar eclipse, you lose some of your power to control a situation. What's happening is, after these dramatic work-related situations being revealed to you, the domestic situation is also impacted, but in a way that you feel out of control. A domestic change, a move of home is on the cards now, but in a way you don't feel ready for this, and that's a good thing, because it'll be far easier for you to do this move if you have to when Rahu has gone backwards into your 9th house, which will be after April 2022. Health of family members may also be of concern at this solar eclipse. Again, wait until the end of the year when Mars, your Yoga Karika planet, comes into this house and conjuncts this eclipse degree. As I've spoken about already, at that time, you'll be able to make the right move domestically, see the way ahead, make plans for this move, and you'll be able to see solution to any health issues of your family members also. Virgo Moon, Virgo Lagna. The eclipse in the 9th house of your chart affects foreign travel, foreign affairs, higher education, relationship with your father, teacher, guru, and also your deep religious beliefs. You may get new information or even some sort of rumor about education course you are involved in that makes you nervous and actually makes you quite emotional. But don't make any changes about higher education at this moment when your mind is so clouded by Rahu. There may be a crisis situation developing with your father or somebody in your father's family. Once again, it's going to be dramatic and fast, but it will quickly pass again. Communication with your father becomes important and emotional at this time. Travel is always ill-advised when you have lunar and solar eclipse in the 9th and 3rd house, and that goes for Virgo at this time. Sudden journeys may become necessary, but they won't be easy, and there can be many delays. The solar eclipse happening in the 3rd house of your chart brings you into competitive situation. 3rd house rules competition with your siblings, with your cousins, with your neighbors, even with your work colleagues. It becomes fractious and gives you a really big headache. Try to back down from all sorts of competitive situations. It's definitely no win for you at the present time, so don't get involved in needless quarrels and contention at this solar eclipse. On a somewhat lighter note, maybe, the third house represents computers and network connections and KETU small machines. So you may have a real burnout with a computer, with some system of communication, even your mobile phone, and it may need completely replacing at this time. For Libra rising and Libra moon sign, the full moon eclipse is occurring in the 8th house of your chart. This is a house of joint finances with your spouse, but also all of your savings, pensions, and everything to do with wills, legacies, and family affairs also. These are all coming under scrutiny, and amazing information is coming to you about these issues at this time that will give you great insight into what your financial future may be. Now, many Librans are business people, often entrepreneurs of some sort. So Rahu moon in the 8th house will affect any of you owning a business or in business partnership. There is going to be a complete change of plan, a complete new business plan because of information available to you. You will make a swift decision that will probably be very good at this lunar eclipse. At the solar eclipse, where the Sun, KETU, Mercury, Moon are all together in the 2nd house of your chart, it's the final underlining moment with family problems. This is a moment when you have to accept loss in some way in connection with family structure. It may be in-laws, maybe children's family. It may be your own family and your close connection of security there. Something has to give. Something is taking too much energy from you, and you have to rearrange the whole structure of family interactions in your life. But the good news is, once you've done this, it will be off your mind. You will feel a great relief. The 2nd house is also your financial security. This total solar eclipse in the 2nd house means that you now know that you have to change something dramatically to make your financial future good long term. You may have to make dramatic cutbacks and changes and restructure how you actually deal with finances in your life. And Mars, Lord of your 7th house of spouse, is in the 12th house to this eclipse, still at the end of Libra. So spouse may be under dramatic stress also at this eclipse, and it could affect their health. And of course, finally, the 2nd house is your eating and your own health. So you will be under such a lot of stress that your eating may go out of control in some way and may affect you. You may have indigestion problems and all sorts of eating issues around this time. If you are on a diet, it's going to come to a dramatic end also, because you won't be able to maintain it. But you really need to look at your whole eating behavior also. Is it serving you? This total solar eclipse says no. There needs to be a total change to that also. For Scorpio, Moon and Lagna, Rahu in the 7th house of your chart since 2020 has turned your life around, of course, being in his Kendra house, but it's also somewhat of a misguiding influence from other people. So this dramatic lunar eclipse occurring in your 7th house on the 19th of November, around this time, coming up to this time, you will have your eyes open to the truth of some situation. This may involve spouse, may involve significant others, may involve close friendships, it may involve business situation, but something which has been known to you but not totally revealed to you in its truth will become known at this time, and you will feel certain then of what your next action, your next moves must be. It could be a very tense situation actually with significant others, because Kritika, where this moon Rahu is placed, as I've shown you, means cutting remarks and strong tempers, and there is no in-between point, and you are not in a mood for compromise either. So it's going to be a little bit of a showdown. Try to stay calm, because KETU is making you rather ruthless being in this 1st house of your chart. But at the total solar eclipse occurring on the 4th of December, it's dramatically different. With the Sun, Moon, Mercury and KETU, this eclipse happening in the 1st house turns you inward. You become reclusive. You become self-contained. You don't want to battle anymore with other people, and that's a good thing. But because the first house, either from your moon or from ascendant, the ascendant itself is of course health related, this could be a difficult moment for your health. Your energies is actually being depleted by this KETU Sun Moon conjunction here. You're actually losing energy. You're actually losing vitality. So take care of yourself. Don't take on too much around this solar eclipse. Give yourself a lot of time for rest and relaxation. Of course, as with every solar eclipse that happens, Sun is your 10th house lord. Your career is always undergoing these dramatic changes because of this every time there is a solar eclipse. And this is no different, but happening in your first house. You may decide that this career, this job which you have is just making you ill. Literally, it's just draining so much energy. So reassess career, reassess working hours. It's very important to do so at this solar eclipse. Health issues also might appear around this solar eclipse, but again, you can't change them at this moment because your Lord is just behind in the 12th house. But you will be able to find new vitality when Mars goes ahead in your first house and eventually at the end of the year conjuncts the eclipse point, as I've just spoken about. So 30th, 31st of December, 1st of Jan 22, you will find solution to any outstanding health problem and your vitality will return in abundance at the end of the year. Sagittarius, Moon and Lagna. This eclipse cycle is a little stressful for you, but in the end it's going to work out in your favor. The first thing is the 6th house lunar eclipse occurring on the 19th of November. Your health may get a crisis situation or even a pet's health. This actually rules domestic animals also. There may be sudden legal issues or sudden revelations which involve ongoing legal action. Watch yourself around sharp objects also, because accidents are ruled by this house and Critica equals knife, so sharp objects may become dangerous. There may even be, in rare cases, surgery happening because Critica represents surgery too, surgical intervention. But don't panic about any of this. If it does happen, it will be completely successful. Some of you may have long-term health issues and Rahu Moon brings you new information about them that is absolutely needed. After all the running around and energy expended, though, at the lunar eclipse, you end in a crisis point again at the 4th of December. But this time, it's more or less a complete feeling of exhaustion because this is happening in your 12th house. You need recuperation time. You need time to yourself. You definitely want to avoid foreign travel if you can, or too much to do with dealing with people at a far distance now. It's only going to become confusing. KETU, Moon, Sun, Mercury in the 12th house shows that foreign ventures can be difficult. In fact, a total solar eclipse brings many of them to a complete end. So some foreign venture in your life is being underlined and ended even in some way by this total solar eclipse. This may actually turn you inwards into yourself. You may find a real lack of self-confidence at this solar eclipse, and you may be feeling a little bit listless, very unlike your normal optimistic self. But it's just because something is ending in your life that you need to let go of. Now, this may relate also to your financial situation, which at the total solar eclipse comes into a crisis situation in regard to expenses. Now, expenditure may have been going a little bit over the top for some time now, and you've just been letting it roll. But at this total solar eclipse, a real end point comes. You realize there is just no more going on like this, and cutbacks financially definitely have to be made. But the positive thing about this solar eclipse in your 12th house is that you get to grips with your inner self. You find inspiration in your dream life, definitely, because Mercury here gives you inspiration from ideas in your dreams, and you get tremendous spiritual insight. So it's a spiritual time. It's a deep searching time. Try to avoid social interaction at this time. It will simply drain you. For Capricorn, Moon and Lagna, the lunar eclipse occurs in the 5th house of your chart, which rules romantic relationships, education and children. If you have children, there can be worrying situations around them around the lunar eclipse. But again, you will sort these out swiftly. Don't worry. Lunar eclipse situations come up and then calm down very, very fast. In regard to education course, there could be a curveball of information coming your way at this lunar eclipse. It startles you and makes you wonder if you are on the right course. Don't make any dramatic move. Once again, you need to see what is behind this information. It may not be what it seems to be. Finally, if you are in a romantic situation, new relationship, you may find some unknown factor comes to bear on the actual person or the relationship potential. It may be startling, it may be a little bit worrisome, but once again, work it through slowly. Don't make dramatic decisions. Give these things time to settle. Be very careful about risky financial ventures also at this lunar eclipse, because Rahu is your second lord of finance. So you could be tempted to speculative gain and it could go haywire because of this eclipse. Sometimes there can even be gain because Rahu can give that in this fifth house, but it's more likely not to be because it is followed by a total finishing solar eclipse in your 11th house. So you have to be extremely cautious with making any dramatic moves about speculative gain, stock markets, etc. at this time. Now, the total solar eclipse occurs in your 11th house. This is underlining where you are going in life. Some of you receive information or situations develop around the 4th of December that just show a complete roadblock about what you'd been hoping to do. Immediate plans come to an end. These can involve friendship, network circles, and, as I say, even sometimes romantic liaisons, but it's more likely going to be friendships now. Friends have been leaving your life in the last 1.5 years, haven't they? There's been a complete misunderstanding developing with many friendships, but often it's because you don't have anything in common anymore. This solar eclipse may conversely bring some of these friends into your orbit again, or you may decide that even though they do come back into your life, you don't want to be around them anymore. So it's a total change of your social network now. There's no going back. It can actually make you feel a bit isolated, this solar eclipse. So what you should do is take note of what you want for your future, because as Rahu moves back into your 4th house, a complete change of your working situation will occur, which will of necessity mean that new people come into your life. Now, the 11th house also relates to your income. A total solar eclipse happening like this with no lunar following shows that a definite source of income dries up for you now. This can be loss of a job for some of you, or it can be an opportunity opening to you which closes again, or even promotion which is not possible. So it's a really disappointing time financially, but good news, Mars coming into Scorpio soon, and Mars hitting this conjunction, this Sun-Moon conjunction point at the end of the year, as I've been speaking about on this video, will open up a new opportunity for you. So as they say, one door shuts, another door opens is definitely happening for you in this case. Aquarius, Moon and Lagna. Since 2020, domestic issues have been fractious for you, very difficult. It's been difficult to move or to make a successful home move that you wanted to make. And the final jigsaw puzzle is coming together now with this lunar eclipse on the 19th of November. Difficulties in your home circle, in your domestic situation, in your family life, and even with your mother become startling at this time. New information becomes available, though, that lets you see what the final outcome is likely to be. But the lunar eclipse has another end, the KETU Sun conjunction in the 10th house. So your career is impacting on your home life. Changes and losses occurring in your career are impacting on your domestic situation. You feel the need to change it dramatically, but it really isn't going to be easy until Rahu moves back into your 3rd house, which will be in April 2022. So avoid quarrels, contentions now, knowing that it's not the right time to make dramatic moves in your home life. Wait a little while longer. The most important factor of these eclipses is the total solar eclipse occurring in the 10th house of your chart. This is important. This is going to draw a line under career issues which have been going on for about 1.5 years now. Some of you lose a job, leave a job, just put a whole career behind you and want to start afresh now. And it is the right thing to do. So don't be afraid of these dramatic changes. They are definitely meant to be. And you will feel, as Rahu moves again backwards into your 3rd house soon, that you are skilling up for a whole new career potential. That begins, as I say, from April 2022. For Pisces Moon, Pisces Lagna, this lunar eclipse is occurring in the 3rd house of your chart. So Pisces, it's a good lunar eclipse for you, but it's going to be cutting. It's going to be dramatic. It's about communication. The 3rd house rules is coming to you from your siblings, neighbors, cousins even, and even from people who live at a distance to you. There may be also communications with your father, which are difficult but nonetheless necessary, which are very startling actually, giving you new information. Here's the thing, you are being tested now for your commitment to your new path, because you started a whole new path since 2020 and you have to stick with this. It is the right path for yourself. So people from a distance are calling on you, but you have to concentrate on your current situation wherever you are. If you are in higher education, a curveball comes your way also, new information that startles you, but may show you clearly whether you are on the right course or not. But don't make a dramatic decision yet. Wait until the total solar eclipse occurs at the beginning of December. Then you will get more information still and be able to make the right decision. Eclipses occurring, by the way, in your 3rd and your 9th house, both at the lunar and the solar, show that travel is very difficult for you and should be avoided if you can, because it's going to give you unexpected circumstance and cause you some distress or some huge amounts of delay. If you can avoid travel, it's always best to do so. This is definitely true at the total solar eclipse in your 9th house of foreign lands. You will have to give up some planned trip at this time, but don't worry, you will eventually make the trip, but it's not the right time at the moment. But this 9th house solar eclipse has deep import for you. It is everything to do with your deep belief systems, religious system, and everything about what gives you philosophical truth in your life. Something is breaking there. Something is changing there. And it's probably because of new information or new systems of belief that have come to you. You should go with these. You should make a change, even if it seems a bit strange to you. New philosophy, new religious system maybe have something very special that has been needed for a long time. There may be a crisis developing at this total solar eclipse in your father's life or guru or teacher's life, anybody who is mentoring you, and this affects you very, very deeply, but it will dissipate as this solar eclipse passes. And those of you in higher education will make a decision after this date about higher education course. It's seeming pretty much an impasse for you now. It isn't offering you what you need. But do you really know for sure? Probably not. Wait until Mars comes into this sign, Scorpio, and gets to the conjunction of the Sun and the Moon, as I've spoken about on the video. 30th, 31st of December, 1st of Jan. You will find information then that was not available to you now, and you will make the absolute right decision about higher education. Don't forget to sub below if you're new to my channel. Goodbye for now, and God bless everyone.